Yeah, and as we embark on these interesting experiments in policy in the US that we're seeing as well, in your answer, you talked there about Google not releasing or maybe even not putting as much R&D into cutting edge large language models, and OpenAI beat them to the punch on the kind of highly intuitive conversational interface that we saw with ChatGPT around the release of GPT 3.5. And so I want to talk about LLMs a little bit, which my audience will probably really enjoy. In your talks and in your writing, you've expressed skepticism about using LLMs to automate human ingenuity. You've described them as engines of statistical consensus, prone to driving discovery by majority vote, and so that they're therefore unlikely to produce novel or inconceivable ideas. I'd love you to dig into that a bit more. It's something that I can completely understand. Yeah, so I wonder what you see in the near term, or maybe if there are some kinds of you know, I realize that this isn't necessarily your area of expertise, but I don't know if you have ideas as to how, in the longer term, perhaps machines could be more could have more invention themselves.
So let me just make two observations on that. So two of my Oxford colleagues have these thought experiments where they imagine an LLM in 1900 being asked the question, "Will humans ever be able to fly?" Uh, Consider just for a moment the training data set, right? They would have a long list of failed experiments with humans attempting flight. They might have looked to birds as the best evidence that flight is in principle possible. But even there, there's no bird that weighs more than 30 pounds that's able to get off the ground. Larger birds like ostriches don't fly. And so I think it's highly unlikely that any LLM trade upon data available up until 1900 would have given us a blueprint for what the Wright brothers achieved. Now, we can always argue about, are LLMs creative? Are they not? They do, recombination very well. Some of that is arguably new. Some of that is arguably novel. But if you take an algorithm and you train it on impressionist paintings, well, the outputs are going to be fairly close to impressionism. You're not going to get to conceptual art that way. And so there are certain leaps that state of the art AI uh, isn't capable of, that I think humans are capable of. And so I think that means that in the sort of frontier innovation and discovery that I'm talking about in the book, for now at least, humans are safe. I'm very happy to entertain the possibility that that could change in the future. And to be clear, I'm not a computer scientist, and it's not clear to me what the path forward is. But let me just make some observations there as well, right? So, first industrial revolution powered by steam, right? Early steam engines are tremendously energy inefficient, right? And as a result, they basically used to drain coal mines, and even that they can't do particularly well, right? What's really required is what separate condenser to make the steam engine energy efficient, and then you have several tweaks by others as well, applying it to steamships and railroads, etc. And that's what makes it useful. I think AI is still in a way waiting for its separate condenser moment. I think if the world was just a static distribution of events, you can brute force it. And but the world is not just a static distribution of events; it's changing all the time. And so I think a key challenge going forward is building AI that can, like us, sometimes we, misjudge new events as well, but that can essentially that are relatively resilient to new situations and new circumstances. And I think another example of this is related to the game of Go, right? We all know 2016, AlphaGo beats the world champion. Back in 2023, Stuart Russell and his lab puts out this paper showing that, well, we already achieved superhuman performance in that domain, right? But still, human amateurs using standard laptops are, capable of beating the best Go programs convincingly by exposing them to new concepts. And so I think that tells us something. There are probably people out there that have ideas how to proceed on that front, but we're not there yet. And so I do think that that is a remaining challenge.